When we speak about the Bible, it is important to begin by correcting a common misconception. The Bible is not a single book written at one moment in time by a single author. Rather, it is a library, a carefully collected anthology of texts produced over many centuries by many authors in different historical, cultural, and linguistic contexts. Understanding the Bible as a collection rather than a monolithic text is foundational for any serious academic or theological engagement with it. These texts were preserved, transmitted, debated, edited, and eventually gathered together because communities of faith believed they carried enduring authority. That authority, however, did not emerge automatically. It was recognized gradually through usage, tradition, and communal discernment. The two canons of the Bible, the Christian Bible, is traditionally divided into two major canons, or authoritative collections. The first is the Hebrew Bible, also known as the Tanakh, or, in Christian terminology, the Old Testament. This collection consists of 39 books in the standard Protestant numbering system. These texts originated within ancient Israel and reflect Israel's understanding of God, covenant, law, history, poetry, prophecy, and wisdom. In Jewish tradition, these books are arranged differently and grouped into three sections: Torah, prophets, and writings, but the core textual material is the same. The second canon is the New Testament, which consists of 27 books. These writings emerge from the first century Jewish and Greco-Roman world and focus on the life, teachings, death, and resurrection of Jesus, as well as the development of the early Christian movement. Together, these two collections form what Christians refer to as the Bible, a total of 66 books spanning well over a millennium of composition. It is essential to recognize that these two canons are not unrelated or competing collections. The New Testament emerges from within the world of the Hebrew Bible and presumes it as sacred scripture. The Christian Bible, therefore, tells a continuous narrative rather than two disconnected stories, a biblical survey print. What does canon mean? The term canon comes from a Greek word meaning measuring rod or standard. In religious contexts, it refers to a closed and authoritative collection of writings, texts that a community has determined to be normative for belief, teaching, and practice. Calling the Bible canonical does not mean that every book was always universally accepted without debate. On the contrary, the formation of both the Hebrew Bible and the New Testament involved long processes of discussion, disagreement, and discernment. Books were evaluated based on factors such as antiquity, consistency with existing tradition, widespread usage, and perceived theological reliability. Over time, boundaries were drawn, and once those boundaries solidified, the canon became closed, meaning that new books were no longer added. Thus, when we say the Bible is canonical, we are making a historical and communal claim. These texts were received by particular communities as authoritative and were preserved as the definitive witnesses to their faith traditions. Why this matters. Understanding the Bible as a collection of canonical texts rather than a single uniform document helps explain many of its internal tensions, literary diversity, and theological depth. Law sits beside poetry, prophecy beside narrative, letters beside apocalyptic visions. This diversity is not a flaw, it is the very character of the biblical library. For students of biblical studies, this framework provides the necessary foundation for reading the Bible responsibly. Historically informed, literarily attentive, and theologically aware, it reminds us that the Bible did not drop from heaven fully formed, but was shaped within real communities responding to real historical circumstances, yet preserved because those communities believed these writings continued to speak with enduring authority.